catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
My phone is going crazy. Come on. The event doesn't say live yet. Right. How are we looking? Are we live or not?
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
So, Alan.
Nice start, fellas. Good hassle.
So welcome to the WFDF World Ultimate Guts Championships here from London. It's 1-1 here so far with Australia on 0. They've already got a turn to Great Britain, but they've given it back. Pressure now. Oh, well boxed out there from Callan Spielman. Just removing the options as Jake Aspen closed on his back. The ultimate Ashes played out here under cloudy skies here in London. The green and gold of Australia and the blue shirts of Great Britain in this men's division quarter-final. We've seen this matchup before and it always produces the most interesting, the most dynamic and the most spicy games. I've got David Price next to me. David, we're in for a treat here, aren't we?
Yeah, after a very extensive break for the Lightning, the officials and the teams were brought together and decided that we'll try and fit these games in. It's still fairly light here, a hint of rain. I don't think there's any storm around here now. And as Tom says, these two teams have definitely been seen in quarterfinals in the past. We're hoping for another spicy one here. GB have got one turn but weren't able to take advantage of it. Now on offense.
And the disc dives out of the sideline.
I was jogging around.
Cheeseman brings the disc to the middle of the pitch. And the 50 shirt on his back. And straight away Parsons busts deep. Yeo with the disc now. Floats back into the path of Parsons with the one shirt on his back. Parslow cutting down the line to Ford. Ford finding Cheeseman again. A great bid from the Australian. Looks for that grab. Great Britain are going to have to work hard to keep this disc alive with this Aussie pressure. Matos cutting and diving to stop that disc, but it finds its way safely to Cartwright. Cartwright now to cross, and a no call. Pick was called. Play stopped. Pressure from the sideline. Pressure from the green and gold. Australia applying it. Great Britain soaking it up at the moment. Cross. Looking for options. Ford available. So quick on his feet, but he's got Matos on his tail. And a push. Ben Parsons. And Peter Ely clashing. Are we up in there? Over there?
We were down. No, we were down.
Down.
They're periscoping it so you can tell
Ford gets the disc tapped back in, floats into the path of Parsons, not quite in the end zone. There's Yeo, and that's a point for Great Britain. Yeo spins the disc into the air. The Great Britain men walk onto the pitch, fist pumping. Score your O points, get the D-line back out there.
Yeah, at the moment, not much to add to that. We'll just say that on the pitch 5, just across the way from us here, GB Mixed are taking on France Mixed. That is being Periscope streamed on the show game, so go check out, I think through Periscope or through Twitter you can find that. When it came back out of the break, it was 9-6. We can't quite see the score here, but if we get any updates, we'll get those to you.
It looks like 10-7. France up in that mixed quarter-final. And these games mattering not just for the result in this tournament, but also for World Games positions. Great Britain and the men's and mixed teams in the quarter-finals for Great Britain, but they'll be looking to score as many points as they can to position themselves. Australia. That's Blakeley sending the disc back to Barr. Big bid there, just on the edge of his range. Fast running down, 12 shirt of Bowen. Bowen's arms raised wide, trying to stop Mike Neal, make a forward pass into the end zone. Hands to the disc, keeps it alive for Australia. Evans. Reset around the back. And there's a point for Great Britain. Lavis to Barr. And, sorry, Australia. So the turn. Was it out of the pitch? Looked like a point to Australia. He was out when he caught it. Oh, he spilt it. We can't see the exact result of that disc down the line here. Myself and David Price. But the catch not completed. Australia not scoring. The disc from Lavis to Barr was a relatively easy one, but sometimes they're the hardest. It's late in the evening here in London, and the players have been sheltering from a thunderstorm for the last 15 minutes, having completed their warm-up. And another deep shot from Great Britain flies errantly. They need to make better connections. Once this D team get the turn, they need to be more assured on the disc. Evans to Barr. Cutting across is Spielman. Spielman rising and taking the disc. Harris guarding to Neild now. Neild to Blakeley. Blakeley looking downfield and sees a foul has been called. Bowen and Neild all over each other. Mike Neild and Sam Bowen having an exchange of glances there. Evans for Australia. Down the line to Neild. Big bid from Bowen. Just takes both the players onto the grass. Neild looking down the line. He's going to have to go and find a reset. Finds Evans. Not going to let that open side pass go without a fight. Neild still with the disc for Australia. Dishes it into the path of, looked like Blakeley cutting in there. And Aussies score it.
Going into that D point, GB were fronting their man. They wanted them to take the unders, and from that you could see a bunch of bids from Sam Bowen, really applying pressure. To me, it looks like the Dingoes are really struggling to score, whereas the GB line are a bit more smoother, a bit more in their groove.
The D line managing to get turns the last couple of points, but having had the turnover, they've then thrown away. But watch out for that Bowen and Neild battle out there. Australia with the advantage at the moment, but it's on serve. Ashcroft sends the disc down for Australia. Cheeseman picks up side stack or split stack here for Great Britain. Ford, miscommunication. He stopped his cut. He didn't think the disc was coming. And the Aussies have got it. Looking for the turn here. Take a 2-point lead. And more importantly, score on this Great Britain O-line. Disc into the end zone. It's high. It's not in the end zone yet. Options available. He's going to have to go back around. Little shout there from Isherwood. Make sure it wasn't picked off by Jackson. That was well received. Disc goes up. This time it finds Jackson. Looks for pressure coming back. Davey with the disc. And pressure from Great Britain is causing a real problem there. Australia with exactly the same issue that Great Britain had, getting the turn, but then under real pressure from the O-line. Both of these teams fired up for this game. This is an important match. Quarterfinals, huge bid from Yeo. Not able to get the disc. Ford with the block. Outstretched hand, the 28 shirt of Justin Ford gets that block ahead of Isherwood. And Great Britain relying on their captain to get the turn. Stobbs to Parsons. Parsons steadies himself. Finds Ford. Ford looks deep. Yeo chasing this one. He's going to have to read it. It's just over his head. It was a hard disc to read. It was a hard disc to chase. Yeo put the burners on, but couldn't bring that down. Couldn't collect it in.
And we're already seeing a huge matchup between Justin Ford and number 53, Isherwood. They're already there, a great bid by Justin, and they're picking him out as a player to take as well.
Moore for Australia. Davey. Oh, he cranked up the arm. Looked like he was going to lean into that one. Nice run down and catch from Andrews. Dink over the top to Davey. Ford is on the tail of Isherwood, taking that shot away. Yeo loses his footing. That means McDonald is free. McDonald looking at options, but they're being pushed further and further back here. Australia, the pressure building. This Great Britain O-line wanting to make sure that they don't get scored on here. Jackson. Time and space for Davey to collect that floaty disc across, and the Ford bidding again, horizontal. Isherwood. Oh, that's not Isherwood. Andrews collects. Now down to Shepherd. Cheeseman bouncing all over the place, trying to get this block further down the pitch. Yeo marking, but it's not stopped the discs moving down to Shepherd, still with Australia across to the middle of the pitch. Andrews now. Static downfield. It's going to look for Shepherd. Little lefty release there from Andrews down the line. Isherwood. Isherwood over the top. Big bid. It collects and it lands safely in the hands of the Australian receiver. 4-2 to Australia, and that is a massive break for the Australians there, breaking the Great Britain offence despite a massive amount of pressure they got put under there. Great Britain have some work to do in this one.
Yeah, they got it back once, and they just weren't quite able to get that connection going between Ford and Yeo. Wilson also getting very close on that final bid. It's early days here. We'll wait to see if the GB offense can hold and get that O-line back out.
Yeah, Magnus Wilson giving everything he'd got to chase that one down. We're at quarter-final stages here. Great Britain and Australia, the ultimate Ashes. Mike Neal smiles at me as he walks past on the sideline. Team up in this one. The green and gold are the ones that have had the early success. They've broken Great Britain's O-line, and now they come back on D, fired up. Deep pull from Australia puts the pressure onto Great Britain straight away. And the other line is on now. Ollie Gordon with the disc to Shaw, to Schumacher. Just Gordon sends it. Parslow with it. Timings of these cuts from Great Britain are just a little bit off. They're looking up and they're seeing the player coming back under. Ollie Gordon's gone deep. Schumacher with the disc now. Ollie Gordon running his legs off out here. He's getting free on both directions. Stobbs with the cut. Stobbs doesn't turn over. Just as Styles says that, he almost did. Throw to Colin Shaw was a real rangy one. Parslow looking upfield. And Tom Tullett just checking. And Colin Shaw gets the disc back. Tullett just checking with the advisor. Just wanted to check that that call was in. Shaw to Parslow. Parslow to Clark, to Stobbs, to Gordon. Using a lot of players here. Cuts down the line. Cross coming out of the end zone. Clark receiving. Parslow available. A little dink. Looking for a second and third pass. Into the path of Ollie Gordon. The 14 shirt collecting that one. And that looked a lot like the D-line there. I've put David off his stride there. It was a different O-line though, wasn't it? Yeo, Ford missing, Parsons missing.
Clark, Parslow, all O-line players.
Okay, my bad. It was just a different O-look.
Sorry, this is Megan Multani. It was also a different D line from Australia. It wasn't the line we'd seen out on their first two defensive pulls. So everybody taking a little break after that monster of a point that gave Australia the first break.
So both teams going deep into their roster already. They've got a large squad out here, and this is going to be a battle. Both teams know it. Both teams can feel it already. And I hope wherever you're watching this, you can feel it as well. Myself, Tom Styles and David Price, and Megan Multeni down here with the stats, helping us out as well. Part of our WFDF video crew covering this one for you. We've had to relocate all the equipment out onto this pitch 4. We're seeing a cracking game as a result. Pressure from the 16 shirt, Phil Garner. He's just tweaked the shoulder a little bit there. And it was Lavis. That was so famed from Sakai. Lavis just got a little tweak. He says he's okay. slaps the hand. He's got the physio's attention straight away. We hope he's okay. He's been replaced by Blakeley. Blakeley sends it deep straight away. Bowen and Neild resuming their tussle, but Neild wins this one, rising high and taking it above the outstretched Sam Bowen. Dumps it back to Dowell. Dowell to Barr. Cuts across the end zone. Blakeley is available. Flicks it to Neild. Neild collects. And they make that look simple. What a huge take there, though, from Mike Neild. Awesome pressure from Sam Bowen, but just not able to get it.
This GB team have been working their way into this tournament bit by bit, not really being pushed until playing Germany yesterday with the 15-10 game. Australia, on the other hand, having a very hard day yesterday against USA, losing out there, which might go in their favour as they've been pushed and had a very hard route as of yesterday. But we're yet to see. Obviously here now, GB down a break, 5-3. But I also know that this GBD line are very good at coming into the game, specifically in the second half. That's what they've been doing a lot over this whole tournament and over the last year or so. And we've actually got the sun here. It's a surprise. Clear skies, pretty much. Blue skies almost over us. Australia now pulling. Cheeseman centres to Cross. Cross looks off the deep shot to Yo. Goes around to Schumacher. Schumacher.
Schumacher to Wilson. Wilson up the line to Cheeseman. Cheeseman to Ford. Ford's got a disc back available to Parslow as the evening sunshine stretches the shadows across this show pitch. Out here on pitch 4, Cross looking for the deep shot, sends it up. Yeo underneath this, but so some Australian pressure. Yeo reads, Yeo takes. Yeo scores, Lackland McDonald spread across the floor. And congratulating Yeo on the read and take on that one. The ups on that guy are in.
Over the last 2 or 3 years, you'll have seen him at U23, WCBU, and that's exactly what he's there for. Huge shots into the end zone from Cross to Yo.
Spectator and a fan, what's your view of the game so far, Felix?
I think this is going to come down to second half performance. I think the teams are going to stay pretty level for the first half, and then the second half we'll see who can keep this intensity up for the whole full duration of the game.
It's a close one at the moment. Megan, what's your view of it?
Just from looking at the stats, we've had 3 clean points the last 3 in a row, so the teams have kind of settled through the multiple turns earlier in the game and kind of finding their stride late in the second half.
First half. Dowell, across to Barr. The ultimate Ashes is being played out here in this men's quarter-final. Great Britain and Australia to Blakeley. Australia with the disc, the green and gold shirts. There's a rainbow soaring above the pitches here at the University College London. But is there a pot of gold at the end of it for either of these two teams? Spielman to Barr. Frustrating the Australian offence at the moment. Great Britain's D-line. Blakeley into Neild. Now there's the danger man. Neild just floats it, and time and space to Callan Spielman. To Barr, and the disc to Barr is too far out of his reach. It's a turnover.
And the receiver just wasn't expecting. I think he was already turning to go and clear deep, and that lefty break just unexpected by both receiver.
Shaw has looked at Hayden Slaughter on the far side of the pitch. High read, had to be high. Richard Raz there, reading that one. Slaughter again. Shaw coming under, very, very short horizontal stack, creating all the space downfield. Raz again. To Shaw once more. This time it's gone, and this time it's Ollie Gordon underneath in acres of space, milking it all the way down the pitch. Not quite in. Far side of the pitch, looking to score this one quickly. The peel off from Calames. The beautiful long shot. And down into the hands of Ollie Gordon it goes. And it's 5 apiece. We're in a real battle here. Great Britain getting the turn back.
GB really picking out their options there. They had a few deep shots earlier on in the point, but decided to go with a certain one of Ollie Gordon streaking deep. And then eventually taking his time to hit Callum in the end zone.
Now this coverage has been brought to you by a team of professionals from across the Ultimate Media field. And we've got Mike Palmer up in the camera tower at the moment. He's spent most of the week in our production van, but right now he didn't want to miss out on the Australian versus Great Britain match. If the camera does go jumpy on occasions, it's probably because Mike's got excited about a particular exciting moment. He's an Australian. And there's the rainbow that we were talking about earlier.
And there's a gelato on this game. Me and Mike have a bet. The actual bet stands is that I think GB will come above Australia, but this game, of course, decides that. So whoever wins this gets an ice cream.
The sunshine and rain. What a day we've had weather-wise out here in London. The skies above the playing fields here are stunning at the moment. Over to the right, behind the camera tower, as you look, is the sunshine is out. The blue skies have come through, and we've escaped from the most vicious storm that we had. Some of the fields around this venue are waterlogged. There's standing water, so the show fields that we're hoping to have action on from tomorrow. It's questionable whether that will be possible now. There's no doubt they'll be trying their very best to make that happen. If there's no further rain, there's a chance it could. As we hear David Stobbs, one of the key components of this Great Britain line. The number 23 shirt on his back. He's been a fundamental component of the Clapham line, which is the basis for this Great Britain side. They've been training in London every week in preparation. But this is the test. This is where it all comes down, and the ball is going to drift out. David walks off in frustration. You may have heard his views about Paul's landing in the past. It just puts this D-line on the back foot immediately, David.
Yes, for those of you who've tuned in before, I do dislike Paul's going out. And this is giving the Aussies now their own brick to start their offense.
Barr to Lavis. Pleased to see Lavis back onto the pitch after he took that injury sub a few points ago. The knock to the ankle has obviously been sent away. Evans chasing this. Mark Evans brings it down. The shot down the line from Tim Lavis is successfully connected with, and Aussies re-establish their lead, 6-5. Megan, from the stats that you're keeping so far, can we see any patterns developing?
Well, so far Australia playing a pretty balanced attack from their O-line. We do see Evans getting involved early. He's got 2 goals to his name and 1 assist. So look to see Great Britain needing to shut him down, limit his touches, and not allow him to be involved either as a distributor or as a target for this Dingo team.
We also have a result from the far field. From here, it looks like France have beaten GB Mixed in their mixed quarter-final. And some would say that's a bit of an upset, as the European champions, Great Britain, came in as strong favourites in that game, but they have lost out in that quarter-final.
Yeah, the GB mixed team will be devastated by that loss. They've beaten France this season already. But Great Britain men's still in this one. Chasing down and underneath that disc. Oh, brilliantly read by Andrew Jackson. He rises above, gets the fingertips up. And the Great Britain O-line. That's the second D that Jackson's clocked up to his name. The last time Jackson broke. Last time Jackson got the D, Australia were able to break. Moore cutting. And Justin Ford jogging back. And a turnover. I'm not sure if the disc just came out of his hand. Moore, Stobbs chasing and scoring. And that's great play from Great Britain. Oh, hang on, a call on the plate. It looks like a pick is called. Just as we thought, Stobbs had put a goal in for Great Britain. It's been called back. Matt Parslow, part of this Great Britain side, part of a lot of previous Great Britain sides as well. Parslow fakes, dips low into the end zone, and there's a nice and wide open Ben Parsons for the score, levels it up at 6 apiece.
Very close bid there from one of the Australian. On the far field, the score was 15-8 to France. We can also see now the Philippines and USA mixed teams preparing for their quarter-final. It's a very different feeling here now that the sun has come out. Sidelines are packed with mostly players, but there are a few spectators from the previous games that were here earlier and some of the volunteers. But Tom and I are already enjoying this game thoroughly. The line that we have on for GB currently is Ollie Gordon, Sam Bowen, Magnus Wilson, James Mead, Justin Ford, Tom Abrams and Ashley Yeo.
That looks like an extremely strong line to chase down this D. Ford getting down there as quick as he possibly could. Pressure from Yeo on Evans. That's going to be that markup that Molteni was talking about earlier. Big disc over the top, Blakeley underneath it. Oh, so easy for the Australians. They extend their lead. Back in front once more. And despite the legs on the field for Great Britain, the disc from Evans to Blakeley was perfect.
Yeah, there's not much else you can say to that. The disc was absolutely perfectly placed into his stride. Abrams, I thought, had a read initially, but the way that the angle of that disc came in meant that it went all the way around him and was able to basically beat him as long as the receiver was quick enough, which, of course, he was.
So another involvement from Mark Evans, having the game of his life out here at the moment, making the difference between Australia and Great Britain. Deep shot downfield. And this game brought to you by the WFDF video crew, who are trying their best to cover this. This game wasn't supposed to be at this time. All the games have been moved around because of the rain. Many of the pitches closed. None of the spectators allowed onto site today because of the waterlogged fields and the damage that those spectators would cause. Unfortunately, we've had to ask people to stay away. A lot of the teams are staying away. Only the top 16 teams only have had any action. Well, the top 8 teams have had any action, really. Just on field 4 and 5. Cross now to Cartwright. Cartwright putting the disc wide of Parslow. And it's a turnover. Tulett now with an opportunity to take half. Tulett to Shepherd. Finds the disc the way forward. Tulett coming again. Has to go to ground to fetch that one. Stobbs. Not quite sure what the call was there, as he has a pick further downfield in the stack. Not sure if that is the call. It's difficult to tell from here. Game advisors staying out of this one at the moment. Now going in to have a listen. Just check that everything's okay. Tulett had to work hard to keep that disc active. Stobbs low. Tulett with the disc. Out to Shepherd. Shepherd to Neild, being marked by Schumacher. Down the line to Lavis. Not quite in. Lavis looking for options. He's got Neild at the back corner. Floats it back to Tulett again. Tulett to Blakeley. The orange boots flashing across the turf. The shadows lengthen in this evening's sunshine. Tulett blindsided Stobbs there. Tulett around the back, up to Moore. Score for Australia. They take the half, 8-6. Fantastic work from the gentlemen in green and gold. And they've put real pressure on this Great Britain side in this men's division quarter-final. Myself, Tom Stiles, David Price and Megan Molteni down here for you. David, just break down that first half there. What was the difference between the two sides?
I think initially GB came out very strong, applying a lot of pressure, and they looked like they were the only team that were able to turn the other. But then in the middle and the later part of that half, Australia stepped it up, and as soon as they got that turn, they converted it straight away. There was no messing around with it, whereas GB hadn't converted any turns. We then had a couple breaks each until right there at the end we're even. But Australia able to again convert another turn to take half. Something to note as well is the lack of stats attributed to Ford's name over this weekend and week. I think this is due to the depth that this GB team have, and that he's often involved more in maybe the hockey pass or making plays earlier on, and also getting defensive blocks, which we saw here in the second or third point. But GB now will take some time, get themselves back in this game. I can see they're starting to do some throwing already. The Dingoes just getting a bit of water on now, and they'll do the same. I think we're going to take a quick break.
We are going to take a quick break. But we've just had word from our people, someone watching, that they were losing sound when we go to replay. So if that message could get back to our truck. The truck is 3 fields away, so hopefully that message got through. We're losing sound from the commentary when we go on the replays. I'm sure that's a button press away from being fixed. The evening sunshine. It's a rather odd atmosphere down here on the fields, as the crowds have been kept away. And yet we are seeing some of the highest level ultimate. We'll take a short break now, and we're back just to catch the start of this second half. Now we're back just before the second half of this Great Britain-Australia game. I'd just like to say thanks to all the people who supported this project on Kickstarter. It was a huge Kickstarter project to raise funds to do the best possible coverage we could do from here in London. And the coverage is just going to go black while we get this stream. Change the battery over on the camera. We're out here on pitch 4, which is a brand new pitch built of sand, and so despite the intense rain we've had, the pitch has stood up to that very well. I spilt a bottle of water on the floor before, and it didn't go anywhere. It just disappeared into the surface. So some very clever pitch technology is in use, and that's what has allowed us to keep these two fields open despite the deluge that we've had out here in London this weekend. Felix Shardlow's beside me. What's your view of the game so far, Felix?
So really crazy intense start. Now we're going into the second half, and we are going to see what this game is really going to be like now. GB are confident, and they've got the depth in their fitness to really step up in this half and take it away from Australia. I think, I'm calling it now, I think we're going to see a huge block from Ashley Yeo at some point in this second half.
Yeah, one of Felix's players out of the Brighton stable. And straight away we see a hard pressure. Not Cummings yet. This time it comes across to Ben Parsons, trying to find a way to Ford. Parsons going to have to reset to Parslow. Tullett's trying to cover that. And a pick called as Cheeseman ran free. Australians matching Great Britain at the moment, foot for foot, cut for cut, race for race. Parslow takes the tap back in and finds Cheeseman. Ford making himself available on this near side, marked by Moore. Ford to Yeo, to Stobbs. Stobbs to Parslow. Parslow sees Parsons go deep. Parsons coming back under. Yeo now available. Parsons has gone deep a second time. Ford available. Just seems like he's jogging, but he moves so quickly. 99 shirt of Schumacher available on one side. Parsons available on this side. Parslow available. And Jackson marking here. Around to Parslow. Not going to take any deep shots this time. That's a blade to Ford. Ford to Schumacher. Schumacher back to Ford. Back to Schumacher. Cheeseman available just as in front of the end zone. Trying to drop the shoulder and find a free space, and eventually two diving Australians and contact, which Parslow's called. He stopped his bid on that disc because of the contact from the Australians. Called the foul. He cannot fault the effort from Tulett coming out of that half. And also Alex Shepherd down there. Intensity, the whole Australian line. And it's been uncontested and given back to Parslow, right on the edge of the end zone. Now he floats to Yeo. Going to swing it out. Has to bid and doesn't manage to connect. Justin Ford, that disc from Yeo, exactly what they'd planned there. The dump pass to Yeo, the swing across to Ford, but it was too far ahead of the Great Britain captain. Oh, fast cuts from Jackson, getting himself available and free to Tulett. Cutting back was Ryan Davey, but a pick has been called. Stobbs allowed to catch up. Ryan Davey, one of the youngest members of this Dingoes side. Davey with the disc now. Jackson darting all over the place, and a deep shot's gone up. Underneath it's going to be Yeo, underneath it's going to be Moore. Moore takes the disc down, Yeo crumbles all over him. Throws to the open side, catches, and that is a huge point for Australia. Brendan Ashcroft clearing up the point after Moore took that huge disc down over the head of Ashley Yeo. Great Britain trail by 3 points from Australia. David, this game is not going how the home side would have liked.
No, they're really being pushed back, and as soon as they give the disc to the Aussies, they're really having to battle to try and get it back. I think that hasn't. I don't think that's happened very often that we've had a turn for this D-line offense. I think only once or twice, if that. So they really can't be giving them the discs.
Australia playing one of the best games that they've put together this tournament. really throwing everything at this one. And Jonathan Potts from Australia, one of the key Australian players in the Australian Ultimate scene, was on Twitter earlier, firing up the boys. I'm sure Potsy will be delighted to see the way the green and gold are playing out here. That's a beautiful pull, floating high and long into the hands of Colin Shaw to Jamie Cross. Cutting, Tom Cartwright, Ashley Yo's cuts. Magnus Wilson now takes two hands, he's got Ollie Gordon. Cutting, Ashley Yo again. Yo looks left, looks right, looks for support. Finds Wilson again, and there's Gordon. Gordon's got Shaw cutting deep. Fake from Wilson was enough to drop the shoulder of Isherwood. Now Ford available. Not looking like he can get free of the attentions of Benjamin Sutas though. Now to Cross to find Gordon. Gordon back to Ford. Ford to Cartwright. Cartwright back to Ford, and a huge bid there from the 19 shirt of Sutas. Deep shot to Shaw in plenty of space. Can he put this one in? And there it is to Tom Cartwright, advancing quickly. Patience. They kept their heads, and a Great Britain offense, despite the pressure from the Aussies, put that one in.
Yeah, the Aussies have definitely stepped up their defense coming into this second half, but most of it taken by the O-line of GB, taking their time, swinging it back and forth between Wilson and Ford, eventually breaking through with a lovely deep shot to Shaw.
Yeah, we've seen both these teams have got very big receivers, and the likes of Ashley Yo for Great Britain, notorious for taking down extremely difficult high discs, and he has done that in this game. But the Aussie defense has been up to that task. But likewise, the Aussies haven't had it all their own way in the end zone as well. Great Britain opting for having to take a lot of passes out there on the field. And Abrams now sends the disc high and deep and into the hands of Lavis. To Barr. Hillman marking bid there from the 34 shirt of Mead. The disc is going to fly, and Aspen's all over this one. Surely a break for turnover for Great Britain. Slides at the feet of one of the show game camera people. But hopefully got some great action shots there. Jake Aspen slid across the turf. Both players making sure that that disc was out. Key point for Great Britain. Abrams finds Hillman. Hillman's got Mead available. Just that nice little dinky inside pass. It wasn't for Clark, but Clark saw it and Clark read it. And now they have to re-establish this movement forward. Going to be chasing down hard is Nick Doucette. And now he's found Mead. Mead was just in a power position for a second there. Getting a bit of a barge. 16 shirt of Phil Garner. And the disc from Mead to Gardner. Garner just doesn't quite connect. It's a turnover for Australia. Having worked so hard to get the disc. The O-line defense from Australia has been impenetrable, not really getting out of their own halfway line. Seb Barr for Australia to Lavis. Front of the end zone, way too easy for Australia. Great Britain's heads up in despair. How could they have scored at the front of the end zone with pretty much no opposition?
Well, I think they were a little bit tired after that shot at offense that they got to play right there for Australia's D-line. And so one adjustment that I think Australia made that was really, really smart is when the O-line turned it, they went with flat marks in the backfield. And so they didn't allow Great Britain's D-line to just have easy shots downfield, able to play that field position game, and they had to try to only have passes behind the disc. We saw the turn come off of an errant just reset pass, and that was the only thing that they were allowing with those flat marks, were either out wide or backwards. And really nice job by Australians O-line tactically and also in terms of how they actually executed to get the disc back and hold there.
So the O-line for Australia clicking into place now in this second half. Aussies with a 10-7 lead. Stobbs to cross. Wilson cutting. Wilson available. Wilson having to fake 3 or 4 times before he finds Jamie Cross available. Schumacher now. Schumacher looking deep, but all the discs. And Justin Ford has a clean grab on that, but just so near the edge of the pitch. He was running at some pace, thinking about the feet more than the catch. A mistake from Ford. Bringing it back to the line, Ryan Davey. Huge opportunity for Australia here. Disc to Wallace. His low disc from Wallace. And Parslow trying his best to stop there, but still slides into the back of Brendan Ashcroft. Ashcroft in some discomfort there as the Australian physio attends. I hope he's okay. Parslow saw Ashcroft slide down, but nothing he could do to prevent himself clattering into the back. I'm not sure if it was knees into the back. Shoulder. It looks like Ashcroft in some discomfort. This is a huge point for both teams. And the Australians clapping the number 17 shirt off the field. They've taken a sub. And Seb Barr, one of the Australian O-line handlers, is on in the middle of this D-line to just put a bit of pressure on. Jackson into the end zone, rises. Ryan Davey takes that one down. Confusion amongst the Great Britain defenders. They are 4 behind in this game. Australians within 4 points have taken a crucial quarter-final victory. Great Britain needing to dig deep to find something special, to find something inspiring. We know this team can create pressure. We know this team has got great skills. They have not brought their A game out here today, and the Australians are punishing them. And silence from the Great Britain fans. There's not very many of them out here. Spectators not allowed, but there's like 1 or 2 volunteers and 1 or 2 tournament staff out here, not making any noise whatsoever. And on the other pitch, you can see behind us, Philippines and the USA in the mixed division. They're at 3 each, which is a very close game. Philippines bringing a very strong mixed side to this tournament. But USA fancied across all divisions. There are no weak links in their lines. Big disc floating across the sky, hovers. If you want to learn how to pull, watch that technique. Cross now. Pressure from Australia is relentless, not letting them have any discs forward. Every cut is marked out. Every disc having to be inch perfect. Yo finding a little bit of space, having to place a short discs now. Clark. Parslow having to find space. Cross eventually making its way across to Shaw, but still Great Britain not able to extend the pitch and use their deep game. Now Cross in a really powerful position when this disc comes down to Cheeseman. Cheeseman in the middle of the park. He's got Parsons available on the far side. Now Colin Shaw goes deep, but it has to come back to Clark and to Cheeseman. They're up to halfway now. Now they're finding some space to Parslow. Floats it into the path of Parsons, who's got the legs on this. What a disc. What a speed from Parsons. A massive bid from Ladamatos, Alex Ladamatos from Australia, but it couldn't prevent, and a little bit more clinical from Great Britain there.
And that's exactly what they need right now. Take their time, push it into the goal so they can get their D-line back out. Still down by 3.
I think now would be a great time for Great Britain to call a timeout, you know, just change the flow of the game, because their heads are getting down a little bit on the sideline. And yeah, need to change something up to get themselves really strong back into this game, I think.
Men's quarter-final action here between Great Britain and Australia, the classic matchup from many Worlds tournaments in the past across all the divisions. These two teams love to play each other. Jonathan Potts was referring to them as frenemies in the past. And they've had great games, and they're having another one right here. Sebastian Barr to Mike Neild. Again, we see that combination of, oh, it's Cartwright this time, but combination with Barr. Someone must be unmarked downfield. It's going to be coming in hot, and it is connected. Nick Doucette receiving that disc. There was a mix-up with Great Britain's defense over Flood, and Aussie's free in the end zone.
And that all came from Ford. He just stepped in to try and get a bid, and he probably wasn't going to get it, and his man went deep straight away, and the Aussies took advantage of that. Hayden Slaughter tried to make up for it off the back of the stack, but couldn't quite get close enough and couldn't get that block. Aussies hold. 12-8.
Oh, we are watching a game right here as the green and gold Australian side. Smiles on the faces of the boys from down under at the moment. High-fiving their way back from the pitch. Great Britain with all the work to do in this one. Running out of time rapidly. Australia only need 3 more points to close this one out. Cheeseman on the disc to Stobbs. The disc didn't hang on the pull as long, but already Australia here really disrupting the Great Britain offense. Parslow to Stobbs to Yo. Jamie Cross, deep shot available. Oh, Parslow had a look at it. Cheeseman with the disc. Yo available deep. Yo coming under. Cutting down the line. Yo burning a lot of energy out there and not getting the disc, mistiming the cuts a little bit. Stobbs busting down the line. Real endeavour cut from Stobbs. Makes the play, and Stobbs passes into the end zone to Colin Shaw. The determination on Stobbs' face as he came through was really quite remarkable. He wants this game.
Yeah, and he will really want to make sure that this O-line keep playing the way they are. They've become very solid now. I think the GB lads are focusing in on what they want to do, which is get their D-line out and get some blocks. They are in desperate need of those right now.
Yeah, I feel like GB's cutters actually got some really great moments of separation, had some space deep, even had a few unders, and handlers just not looking at the right time. They weren't on the same page, but their handling core doing a good job to create opportunities for themselves and really getting it done there kind of from the backfield, throwing open a receiver on that goal.
Yeah, there was opportunities all over that point for Great Britain to make movement of the disc downfield. I'm not sure if they've lost their confidence a little bit taking those deep shots on, but it was a patient point eventually. You can't play too many of those in the game without starting to lose a yard, but Great Britain back within 3.
Just saw Matt Parslow there with arguably the best fakes in UK Ultimate. Faking out hard, getting his players free under as the defenders bite on it.
Tom Stiles, David Price, Megan Moltani and Felix Shardlow bringing you the coverage of this one. Sebastian Barr to Peter Blakeley. Blakeley looking deep. Neil almost cranks up the arm, finds Mike nailed on the short field. Huge bid for Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon's the disc goes straight into the hands of Sebastian Barr. Is it going to be caught? Is it going to be a throwaway? Oh, it's caught by Callan Spielman. Can you believe what you've just seen? Ollie Gordon with the most tremendous block. The disc flutters into the hands of Seb Barr, who has the vision and the calculation and the skill to send the disc flying into the end zone to Callan Spielman. Heartbreak for Great Britain, David.
And sometimes even the best of athletes have to rely on luck, and that was very lucky there by Australia. I thought it was a fantastic bid by Sam Bowen. Now living in Dubai, and a shout out there for Patrick Fourcamp-Promé. He's watching here in the UK, but is helping out with other volunteers.
So that's Barr's third assist of this half. He's really starting to make an impact for this Aussie team. He normally plays on the O-line. They brought him in during that substitution, gave them another break. So if Great Britain is going to look to get a break here late in this second half, they're going to really need to limit his touches. He's a really visionary thrower, and make him throw lower percentage passes or just throw the disc backwards.
And another perfect pull deep into the back of the end zone. Aussie's running down the full length of the pitch. Yo available on this near side, chased down by Gavin Moore. And again, we see that flat force. And Wilson's had to come from deep in the field to fetch the disc. Now Parslow to cross, little short pass. Cross has gone to Yo. Moore's going to be underneath this. He reaches, but Yo rises and takes it majestically from the sky. Cheeseman available. Pass from Yo is perfect. And you cannot deny the ability of Ashley Yo rising above Gavin Moore, who must be a good 6 inches up on him. What a takedown.
From when he started way back when as a GB junior to now, Ashley Yo always proving that he is fantastic in the air. And even then, his player went up with him. GB have actually called a timeout now, which is exactly what Felix suggested they should do, and that's probably a good option now when they're down 13-10.
Great Britain running out of time in this one. They have 5 points to score to take the game. Australia with only 2. They need to pull out all of the stops, leave nothing behind, leave it all down here on the field. This is quarter-final action from the WFDF World Ultimate and Guts Championships from the University College London Sports Ground. It's been a day of horrendous weather. It's been a day where a lot of the players and a lot of the spectators have been allowed nowhere near these pitches in case they are torn to bits. We've had to relocate our camera tower and our media team up to fields 4 and 5, which are sand-based and have drained exceptionally well despite the downpour that they've received. And we hope that we're able to bring you coverage tomorrow from the other pitches. And Felix got a view from that timeout.
Yeah, the timeout was Justin Ford just getting the energy back in the team, saying they're going to be really, really loud, concentrating on sideline, help from the sideline as well, which was lacking a tiny bit earlier. So we're going to see a lot of energy coming from GB. It's going to be really, really noisy on the sideline now. Hopefully they'll step out and get some blocks that they need.
A lot of work to do in this game. Green and gold on the front foot. On the far pitch, the mixed quarter-final between the USA and Philippines is at 5-3. USA up in that one. But right now the action is down here in this men's quarter-final. A big pull close to the back of the end zone. Tim Lavis to Seb Barr, and a different look from the Great Britain defence. This time, Lavis back to Barr. Aussie's been forced across the far side of the pitch. Blakeley here, Hillman marking, hands low. Blakeley back to Barr, right in the corner. Cross to Lavis, low disc, cross to Lavis, deep in their own end zone. Hillman. Phil Garner marking. Matt Dowell coming back to help relieve the pressure. Dowell available down that line. Disc across to Lavis is nicely weighted. Now into the path of Callan Spielman. To Lavis again. Hammer. Read perfectly by Mark Evans to Mike Neild. Back to Lavis again. Lavis back to Barr. Aussie is handling this, and it's gone back to a one-on-one as Colin Shaw comes to take the mark. Evans on a foot block from Ollie Gordon. Exactly what Great Britain needed. Abrams to Ayres. Deep shot goes up. Underneath it is going to be the fast running and the fast jumping of Sam Bowen, who brings the disc down. Great Britain have broken Australia's O-line.
And that defense is exactly what they needed, just to change it up, force them to take many options on. And Ollie Gordon there, the outstretched arm, getting the block. And Sam Bowen streaking deep. Wonderful bit of play there to make sure that that turn turns into a break.
GB coming out of the timeout, and they did switch up their D, showed a new look, and it did enough. So great job, GB.
The coverage brought to you by many different faces from the ultimate media world. Felix Shardlow, one of the coaches in the Brighton camp down on the south coast of Great Britain. He's also responsible for push pass. David Price from the show game, myself, Tom Stiles, with all sorts of experience from across the years. But one of the most exciting things we're seeing here is a matchup, the ultimate Ashes between the green and gold of Australia and the blue of Great Britain. And another slightly different defensive look from Great Britain. This looks like a 2 in the cup, forcing back to each other. Expect a transition at some point. Back across to Seb Barr for Australia. Barr around to Lavis, going to have to work hard to keep this one in, but does so. Lavis, Scuba, back to Barr. Barr having the options taken away. Dowell looking for opportunities to get little interceptions here, Great Britain. Blakeley. The air is still, there's no wind out here to trouble these throws. Time, and Lavis now around Mead. Back to Barr. Back to Barr again. Aussie's happy to handle this sort of pressure from Great Britain. Lavis to Blakeley, front of the end zone, looking for a shot in. And there it is from Australia. They go within one of taking this game. They had to think hard about that defense, but they were patient and they worked it around, and they score. They move within one. It's a 14-11 here in this men's quarter-final. Great Britain, desperate times. So much effort gone into this tournament, the preparation, including last year's European Championship gold. It comes down to this point. Oh, 4 points for Great Britain required. David Price.
I think Australia, they're showing how good they are, adjusting well to the second time they've seen that zone, taking their time, a few little cheeky scubas, and once they've broken through, they looked like they were pretty much going to score.
Sensational game out here on pitch 4. Aussies out on D, seeing if they can put more pressure. The pulling in this game has been fabulous. Another example there, Jamie Cross. And a mistake, Great Britain giving the disc away. Ladamatos. Back to Andrews. Australia knocking on the door of a quarter-final victory and a place in the semis to face Japan. Jackson. Darting shoulders to Sutas. Sutas back to Andrews. And a pick called The tension so high. Aussies on the verge of victory. Great Britain on the verge of heartbreak. Andrews manages to get the disc safely to Jackson despite the pressure. Disc across the far side. What a disc that is from Andrew Jackson. The green and gold shirts of Australia take to the field. They hug, they shout and they clap, and Great British hearts are broken. They've worked so hard to get into this position, but the Aussies have played the game of their lives. Huge game from Mark Evans and a huge game from all these Aussie players. They slap hands and punch chests. And under the cloudy skies of London, broken hearts for Great Britain. David Price, what a game we've seen out there.
Yeah, and it started off fairly even as well, but the Aussies just able to take advantage, and every time the GB gave them the disc, they made sure it was a break. GB unable to do the same back, and they're losing by 4. That means that Australia will now go on to face Japan in the semi-finals, and GB will have to fight out for 5th.
Thanks everyone for watching this game. The WFDF coverage of the World Ultimate and Guts Championships in 2016 has been brought to you with sponsorship by VC Ultimate, proud to be the official merchandising partner of the World Flying Disc Federation, and by Eric, teaching youth about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Clinics, and by the members of the USA Ultimate and the World Flying Disc Federation. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. David Price has gone to see the next game, but we'll be ending our coverage here. Tom Stiles, David Price, Felix Shardlow, and the whole WFDF video crew, along with Megan Molteni. Australia advance, and Great Britain broken hearts on the pitches of London.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.